This is Tiger Cats postgame on the Ticats Audio Network.
A hearty crowd at Tim Hortons Field not going home. Very happy on this evening. Tiger Cats as a team probably not very happy. Montreal 27, Hamilton 14. Alouettes improved to 4-3 in the race in the East. Hamilton with some work to do at 3-5 and have a bye week going ahead. Bubba O'Neill along with Andy Fantuz, and this was a strange second half with all kinds of promise in the first half, Andy. But when we did go to that second half, I think the key phrase there, and it was Luke Tasker that said it, offensive rhythm, not there.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened in the second half. It was totally lopsided in Montreal's favor. Cody Fajardo only had 2 incompletions in the second half. He had 170 yards passing. Things just seemed easy. The receivers were open. They were getting extra yards after the catch, and it was totally the opposite for Hamilton. Hamilton only got 2 first downs in the whole second half, and in a tight ball game, that's just not gonna win you the game. And couple that with the turnovers and the penalties in those crucial moments, just deflating is a word. Like they seem like they have something going, and then it just deflating. So you got to give Montreal credit. They were able to establish the run more in the second half, and just keep getting first downs, keeping Hamilton's defense on the field, getting tired, and scoring touchdowns when it mattered most.
On Tiger Cats post game, we will announce our performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire, right on our strength. We will have access to the coaching room and talk to Coach O about a disappointing defeat. Our player of the game in the locker room as well, too. That's presented by Access Storage. Andy will review his CarStar keys to victory. But first, now it's time for our catch of the game, presented by Fisherman's Friend. Fisherman's Friend, it works. That's the honest truth. Folks, situation was this early in the game. First quarter, no score, 2:11 left in that first quarter. Montreal with the football on their own 25-yard line.
Fajardo under pressure, pump fake, going deep again. It's another interception, and it's Richard Leonard again. And he'll let Hergy Mayala push him out of bounds. Richard Leonard plays to the crowd, saying, let's get more noise. That's his 3rd interception of the season, 2nd of the game. He's had maybe a touchdown-saving tackle on Austin Mack, and the early performer of the game has to be Richard Leonard.
Yeah, you're right, and this is a defense that has not been great on taking the ball away throughout the first part of the season. Those are 2 huge interceptions there. Hergy Mayala was involved in the first interception because he lost his footing in that route. He's the intended target this time, but this interception, this is on Cody Fajardo.
Richard Leonard with the Fisherman's Friend catch of the game. Andy, that defense looking really tight in the first half, and again, Richard Leonard taking the ball away, and that's what built a lead for the Tiger Cats.
Yeah, those 2 first half interceptions were really the difference of the first half. They came at crucial times after Hamilton had given the ball away. He was able to get it right back for them in the scoring zone. Hamilton started on the Montreal 16-yard line, and then Hamilton's, I made a mistake there. But anyway, those are crucial moments of the game in the first half that made the difference to give them the lead. They were up by 11 at the half, and then they went up by, they're up by 8 at the half, then they went up by 11, and then they got outscored 24-0 after that point.
Well, we asked for the defense to come up with a big performance, and they certainly did. They tried their best out there. Hey, just before we review Andy's CarStar keys to victory, let's bring in Mike Daly here as a part of our roundtable to talk about this one. Mike, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because you see Hamilton comes out, and there's a heavy dose of James Butler to start. And, he was rolling. He was getting that offense going. And then kind of once Montreal started taking over, and, you look at that flea flicker play, the fake run pitch back to Cody Fajardo, and have an explosion like that kind of take the wind out of the Ticats sails in the second half, and it just continue downhill from there. It's frustrating, right? Because we see this all the time. We see the Ticats come out first, second quarter, and they are rolling, right? And then it's just kind of, oh no, what happened, right at the end of the game, and we're left scratching our head.
Andy, to the Carstar keys to victory.
Well, number one was control the line of scrimmage, and I thought Hamilton had the slight edge in the first half, but then it was lopsided in the second half, and they got pushed around on both offense and defense, I thought. So you got to give Montreal credit. They just came out after halftime, and they were the more physical team, and it showed by the way they were able to continue drives. So Hamilton did not win Carstar number one.
Number two was an interesting one.
Yeah, number two was better average starting drive position. And Hamilton's average started on their own 38-yard line, and Montreal was their own 42-yard line. So 4-yard difference there. Twice Hamilton started inside their 20. Doesn't seem like a ton, but when a game of what we said was going to be inches and yards, it makes a difference. And not a huge disparity there by any means, but a couple key special teams penalties once again were just critical in this game to give Hamilton a chance up from their own 12-yard line, only down by 6 points with 7 minutes or so left, to all of a sudden now the next play Montreal scores and goes up by 13.
At number three.
Number three was win the turnover battle, and they lost that one as well. They gave the ball away 4 times, and they took it away 3 times.
Hey, what do we have, like a dance party going on in here at this point right now? This is really, really tough. Anyway, yeah, getting back to the Carstar keys to victory there. Number 3 there, the turnover is really, really a problem there. And we will bring in Luke Tasker as well to join us as part of our 4-person roundtable to discuss this really difficult loss here for the Tiger Cats, 27-14 on this one here. And as I said, we will go and have exclusive talk with Coach O and a player. We will name our performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire, right on our strength. And Andy, I think this, again, we're going to give it to defensive player. I think Simoni Lawrence was really busting his chops tonight.
Yeah, Simoni ended up with 11 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble, so he gets the nod today. Richard Leonard had a big game as well. James Butler had a great first half and ended up with pretty decent stats, but Simoni gets the nod.
Let's go down to the coaching room. Time to check in with Coach O, presented by Access Storage. Score a touchdown with affordable storage. Access Storage has flexible storage solutions at a store near you. Try 4 weeks free. Details at accessstorage.ca. Coach O, one of those difficult losses. It just seems like the spark was so high in the first half and just couldn't find it in the second half.
Yeah, can't say it any better. Tale of 2 halves. They kicked ours in the second. All 3 phases. Not good enough. Embarrassing. But, the effort is decent. Our execution was, there's nothing to talk about there. It just wasn't professional.
Coach, it again, some crucial penalties at key times. It certainly was an effort play on that punt block, or the attempted punt block, and hard to fault the guy. But how do you adjust from that?
Well, we're trying to make a play, so we did have punt block on, and you always run that. You run the risk of that, right? You can't play scared. So we went after the block there rather than get pinned deep, and it cost us there. And it just wasn't timely. It didn't work out for us, and that's extremely frustrating. But I like the aggressive call.
Coach, hard to do this right after the loss, but if you had to, what's the missing piece in the Ticat offense right now?
Yeah, it's not a piece. It's points, right? It's when we get opportunities down there, we got to find a way to get some more. That's all. We have key ingredients, right? We have key ingredients. We got to get out of our own way right? We get down there, we take a penalty, right? So now all of a sudden, play calls and everything else change, and that's just football. And until we clean up that aspect, we're gonna struggle.
Hey, and it's Daly. Speaking on those penalties, it's one of those ones where, it keeps popping up. How are you going to deal with that in the locker room? Is that kind of a player-run thing, or is that going to have to turn to the coaches at this point?
Well, you can't play for them, right? So, yeah, we address the elephant in the room all the time. The players are working to address that. They had a meeting last week, and you move forward. And so it's never been this big of a challenge before, but I'm up for challenges. I'm going to embrace it. That's a continual challenge here with our 2023 football team. It hasn't been in the past, as far as being corrected. And so, yeah, we'll figure it out, Mike.
Coach, what are you going to do in the bye week? I don't think I really ask you that.
Well, I'm going to, the best I can. Obviously, you can never turn it off. Exactly. You can never turn it all the way off, but I think it is important to get away from it, whatever that is for whoever there is an individual person. I know for me personally, you got to kind of pretend the computer won't turn on and put it aside, because there's not much you can do until you come back day one of practice. Obviously, you can work on other things, and we'll figure out details and fine fixtures, but nothing specific right now.
Well, Coach, enjoy the week off, and again, get back strong. Still a long way to go in this season. We appreciate your time, and thank you for joining us.
All right. Thank you, guys.
And let's bring in Luke Tasker now, as I said, to complete the foursome here on the roundtable. And I don't know how you feel going into the bye week. A sour taste in your mouth, and I know you do, as Coach said, that you got to find some separation, maybe some personal time with family, and come back stronger for what's going to be a long haul before the next bye week.
Yeah, you got to get away from it. Have to. RJ brought up a good point at the end of the broadcast. It was after the last Montreal loss, also at Tim Hortons Field, that the Ticats went into their first bye week. It's not fun. It's not fun to have to dwell on this for so long, but you really do have to disconnect and get away. You got to get physically right if there's things or on the things that you're surely dealing with in some part of your body. And boy, there's just kind of a laundry list of corrections to make. That's the hard part. And you got to acknowledge it's not easy to have a different quarterback every single week, 4 weeks straight, to have a different guy back there, to not be able to establish rhythm in the macro sense, and then within the games, within the drives, have no rhythm, in a micro sense. And man, a positive attitude I always found during a lull in a season, multiple losses, when your record doesn't look good, you've got to have positive energy and positive voices in the locker room. Because what you just said at the end of Coach O's interview, Bubba, is true. It is a long season. There's still a lot of football left to play.
Andy, we've discussed this in the past. In fact, all four of us have discussed this. And, I mean, it's a trend that kind of, I thought, went away a little bit. But the penalties, I think some of them are, that's one thing if you're taking an offside here and there. You're going to have some penalties in the game. But it's the ones where your defense do a great job. Shut down the run, shut down the pass, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're right back on the field. And even the one on special teams there by Federico, that was a real tough one as well, too.
Those 15-yard penalties they're just a killer. They're a backbreaker, and especially in those moments, like you said, that where you just finished a big stop or a good play, and it just gets taken back and then some. They got to find a way to eliminate those avoidable penalties. Now, Federico to me, has a good head on his shoulders, was an effort play. You heard it from Coach O. The call was punt block. So you're trying to go get the ball, and it was sort of an unfortunate result. But just...
it certainly wasn't reckless.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't reckless by any means. And so you got to find a way to adjust that slightly so that on the follow-through after you miss the block, you're not running into the punter, because you're giving your team a chance to win down 6 points with the ball with plenty of time left versus the next play they go and score that touchdown. So that was a killer. But I think it's a good time to have a bye here and to regroup. And you got Edmonton coming in. We know they're struggling, but you can't take them for granted. But big stretch after that, going into BC, then the Labor Day game, then you got Ottawa, and then Winnipeg and Toronto again. So this is a crucial bunch of games coming up here, and they got to come back focused and as healthy as can be. So it's a good time for a bye.
You know, Mike, and he talks about the schedule, what's upcoming, and you're right. You look at Edmonton and you're thinking, Edmonton, 0-8, and all the problems that they've had, but they're coming off a bye week right now, and apparently there's a new offensive coordinator. Jarius Jackson's now the OC, a guy that quarterbacked in this league. Maybe even Trey Ford at the quarterback position, which would be, I think, a big plus for them. I think Taylor Cornelius, it just hasn't really worked out, and they're going to be gung-ho and maybe, who knows, there's going to be a time, I believe, and maybe they finish last, but there's going to be a time where maybe they win 3 or 4 or whatever. And if you're the Ticats, you don't want to get caught napping when playing a team like that.
Yeah, and I think, you got to look before that a little bit, and even into this bye week. Like, yeah, it's easy to go and take a little bit of a break on a bye week when things are clicking a little bit, right? But now that this bye week's coming up and, internally, the players and the coaches, they do really use this time to get away from football. But I don't think you can, especially if you're the coaches in this situation. And Tass, maybe I'll ask you this question, but like when you're Tommy and Mark Washington and a game like this happens, like how much time do you really take a break on this bye week? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Coach O said, he's going to try his best to get away, but I don't know. I mean, they're going to be working too. They've got to get as best they can, evaluate the different chess pieces that they have personnel-wise and put them in the best spot to succeed. It doesn't seem like, certainly not Bo Levi Mitchell, but doesn't seem like Matt Schultz is going to be ready soon at all by any means. And so how can you empower Taylor Powell to win games, to have confidence throwing it downfield, giving him time? That's going to be Tommy's focus. To be honest, Mark Washington's defense played a good game, and in that third and fourth quarter, Cody Fajardo was able to turn things a little bit. That the turning point to me was that flea flicker and that long play downfield that then resulted in a touchdown. That solidified the momentum in Montreal's favor, but I think you can win games with the defense playing at the level that they did net overall for this game in this game tonight. You can't win games with the level that the offense played. 1 first down in the second half.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me, and we have a defensive guy and 2 offensive guys. Let me throw this in, and I think we need to be as honest as possible here. The defense can't hold forever, right? Like, I mean, you talk about the flea flicker. I mean, as you said, it ended with basically 5 straight 2-and-outs. And that's a problem when your defense is always on the field. So let's just be honest and say these things are going to happen. But at the end of the day, if the offense is not moving the ball, what are you guys seeing on why? And yes, it is an element, what started out as a third-string quarterback. But why isn't the ball moving?
Well, I'll start with this. You're calling maybe what would be a conservative game for a young quarterback. And at some point, you start realizing Tommy Condell, Jared Baines, those offensive guys, you start realizing we got to try to take shots downfield. And that's what they did. And each time it was a slight miss. You see a miss to Tim White in the first half going towards the mountain. You see 2 misses going back the other way. Very close one to Terry Godwin over the middle. It's just like what we've talked about with the run game with the Ticats. If a run game's not working, can you just double down on that and try to run the ball more? Well, it's not working. So what do you got to try to put points on the board. I sense an offense that wants to move the ball downfield, but it comes down to these guys connecting out there with their routes, with their concepts, and the throw.
Well, and Tass, just to go over onto the defensive side, Montreal punted the ball 1 time, right? So, yeah, you can say, like, it's insane, right? Usually you're seeing 6, 7, 8 on a pretty decent defensive night. So, yes, the turnovers are great, but at some point you got to get, a 2-and-out and make them punt from their own end so that at least when it's not a turnover drive, they're not getting, 10, 20, 30 yards of field position before they're able to pin the Cats. So it's a tough thing. The defense is playing really well, but they can't let these, couple first downs get strung together by Montreal to then pin a rookie quarterback back in their own end.
Do you think we see any non-injury related personnel changes?
I don't see how you don't, right? Like, I think there's going to have to be some sort of movement. Maybe, the coach is kind of looking internally, but how do you not at this state, at least offensively, right?
Yeah, it's hard for me to pick one out for you, though.
I know.
I don't, not totally sure as to where they can do it as far as depth, injuries, all the rest. I don't also want to kick a dead horse here, but the penalties, I mean, it's not just the yardage, right? That's something that I think gets lost on the listener, on the viewer on TV. It's not just the yardage. Certainly it's not just the yardage of the penalty. There's hidden yardage involved there too, but bad things they compound as the game goes on. You saw back-to-back penalties on the offensive line followed by an interception. You saw the penalty on the punt followed by a touchdown drive. Penalties play into the momentum and the energy of a game more so than their yardage will tell.
Let's get right back down to the locker room. Let's connect with our player of the game, or performer of the game, presented by Hercules Tire, right on our strength. And again, we will talk to linebacker Simoni Lawrence. Outstanding game, 11 tackles, 1 sack, a forced fumble. Simoni, just one of those games where, you guys are trying to pull your weight there, but just not enough spark in the second half.
I mean, what's the question? Sorry.
Yeah, just trying to find that spark in the second half, and it just didn't happen like it did in the first.
At the end of the day, it was one of those things where, we came out the half and sparked, we set the stadium on fire. But, we just didn't close out the way we were supposed to against the good team.
Sim, how do you... Defense was playing pretty well for the majority of the game, but in the second half, couldn't really get Montreal off the field. They only had 1 punt in the whole game. What do you attribute that to?
As far as like the defense, how it was playing, we knew that we would do well against Montreal. We created our turnovers. It's just like we go hard every week. We work hard. We just got to find a way to put more points on the board than the other team.
Simoni, hey man, you're going into a bye week right now. It's not the result you wanted tonight. How do you bounce back and have a right and good positive energy in this locker room? What's your message to your guys going to be?
You know how this game goes, Tess. At the end of the day, we just got to take care of our bodies, take care of our mentals. We got a great stretch coming, 9-game stretch coming, and we just got to lock in and play together, you know what I mean, and get each other going, get the offense going, get the defense going, special teams going. The only way we're going to pull this all off is if everybody buys and we all do this together.
Hey, Sim, it's Daly. Listen, how is the vibes in the locker room? Because I know outside, it's like, okay, there's a little bit of a slide. What's going on here? But we know it's a long season. Is everyone still kind of, feeling okay about, like, they understand it's a long season, they understand they can get back into this, or is it kind of feeling the same feeling you're seeing on the outside?
Nah, everybody's locked in. We got great veteran leadership. And we let everybody know how the game in Canada goes. If like it's an 8-team league and 3 of the 4 teams make it to the playoffs in the league, you know what I mean? So you just got to stay focused and ignore like all the outside noise and understand you got to put yourself in the best position to win the games and get to the cup.
Sim, what are you going to do personally during this bye week to get ready for that 9-week stretch?
Honestly, I'm just going to take care of my mind, take care of my mental. I'll probably go to Oakville and beat Andy's ass in some Monopoly or something.
Oh, Sam. You must have taken too many headshots tonight.
Hey, below the knees, that's how you live.
Simoni Lawrence, always finding a positive. I love it. Because I can't say that. I'm not allowed to say that, Simoni. He's my broadcast partner. I wouldn't hear the end of it. Thank you so much for joining us. I know, tough one. You'd rather talk to you after the victory and the loss, but that's the way they roll. Enjoy your bye week, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Let me throw out something, guys, here, and this is maybe just me. I'm just talking like a fan.
You gotta love him. He has a confidence about him, doesn't he? Like, I don't know how many times in a row I've whipped him in that game of Monopoly, and yet he still thinks he's better.
All three of you guys played with him. You know how to deal with this cat. You
could actually catch Simoni's audio, got picked up on our broadcast in the last minute and a half of the game when the offense was on the field, and you could hear Simoni saying, "Let's go, let's go." I just love that. He just is always. Did you see the hatchet at the end of the game that Simoni brought in? It was shook the stadium how hard he tackled Snead after that 18-yard catch on first down, and he's just an all-time Ticat, man.
Yeah, playing with him is infectious. And that's what you hope carries over, because he is the vet in the locker room and how he is, and it's just everything's positive. That's what this team has to take going forward. We all at this table know that this is a long season. Like Simoni said, he laughed. He goes, well, we know 3 or 4 make it into the playoffs, right? And that's all you got to do is get in. And you see it happen time and time again. It's just the hot team getting into the playoffs is the one that can pull it together. So,
Luke, going back to that personnel discussion, I look at the receivers, and offensively something's got to change. But what about not necessarily taking guys out, but moving guys around a bit, or do you think that everyone's just too inexperienced to pick up a new position at this point in the season? Because the production of a guy like Tim White, it's just not what you need out of that position, regardless of it being somebody as explosive as Tim White. Maybe shuffling him around and putting somebody else at that spot, and I would like to see something like that.
And this is a multiple game thing that you're talking about.
Yeah,
not just today.
The lull, yes, of course. Yeah, I would love to see Tim White on the outside, just get speed downfield. I've really enjoyed watching Terry Godwin play. You see some near misses on the deep ball still, though. They're giving him chances, but it's not working on the deep ball. I think he does some really great things underneath. Duke Williams and Terry Godwin, I want to see more from them working together, options, Andy, like you and I used to do together. I would love to see those guys working together in the slot. It is hard, though. I mean, I don't know if we ever had 4 quarterbacks, or, 3 quarterbacks total, but changing each week. It's a revolving door. That's really not easy, not an easy thing to do. Disappointing drops every now and again from the receiving core as well. Andy, you and I both know when you have a drop, you do whatever it takes to trick yourself into thinking that you're not going to do it again. I used to catch tennis balls or if it's Jug's machine for you, if it's working with one of the backup quarterbacks, do whatever you got to do to get yourself back into the mentality that you're a guy who just can't drop a ball. And the crazy thing is, you can trick yourself into thinking that. You can actually do it and then not drop any more balls. But, this offense really can't afford, just like you can't afford a penalty right now, you can't afford to drop a ball either.
Well, and let me ask you guys, too, because at least on the defensive side, having somebody new playing beside you with these personnel changes, it takes time to get used to that. And, I'm not sure about the receiver side of it and how much change you would want to make, but I know as a defensive back, if I have a new person in 1 week and then 2 weeks later they go, no, let's make a switch and it's another person, it's like teaching that person all over again, hey, this is kind of how we work, this is how we should play, maybe look to do this, and it takes a lot of time. Is that the exact same thing on that receiver side, but maybe wouldn't warrant that switch?
Well, the defense, like Simoni said, the third quarter, second half actually started with a huge spark, which Simoni forcing the fumble. That first offensive play was banging into each other in the backfield. There is maybe a little miscommunication going on. You do have to be on the same page. I literally remember at BC Place, leaving the huddle, Andy, going into the end zone, and you and I, as we were leaving the huddle, deciding who was going to run the option route.
Yeah.
I remember you saying, "Hey, it's me. Hey, it's you." That's maybe not apples to apples, maybe not fair. We had one consistent quarterback, But that was some next level stuff, and it does take some connection and some cohesiveness.
Andy, final word to you, 20 seconds.
Yeah, well, I would like, even if it takes something where Terry Godwin's motioning in and you get Tim White on the waggle outside, just some minor switches. I haven't seen a ton of that. We have seen some movement from to the field side, and but yeah, I want to see some more switching up on offense. But they did got to rest up. They're still in a good position. They're 3-5. They're still in the playoffs if it started today. So don't get discouraged on this team. Lots of football to play. Big 9-game stretch coming up, and they still control their destiny.
Well, each one of us have about a week to figure out what's going on with the Tiger Cats, guys, and I'm sure we'll be doing a lot of chatting about it on the Ticats Audio Network. Montreal are winners, and they move into secure second place with a 27-14 victory over Hamilton. Thank you so much for listening, fans. For Andy Fantuz, RJ Broadhead, Luke Tasker, Mike Daly, I'm Bubba O'Neill. We will be back after the bye week Thursday, August the 17th for Tiger Cats pregame presented by Greenworks. As those Ticats, we're right back here at Tim Hortons Field where they will host the Edmonton Elks. Our broadcast begins at 6:30, and we will be live on the Ticats Audio Network. Good night, everyone.